Welcome to How She Built This. This is a special episode. As you can see, we have the four of us here. We have the TITTS. And then also we're featuring Ladies of Sound, which is so special to me. I'm part of this community, but also they're just amazing entrepreneur women, and we want to highlight what they do, and they are actually producing this episode for us. We have Ladies of Sound here.
Oh my gosh.
Yay!
Hi guys.
So if you guys can introduce yourself and Ladies of Sound, let us know what Ladies of Sound is about.
Sure. Yeah. First?
Sure. My name is Maricel. I am the principal at the Be Junkie Institute of Sound and the founder of Ladies of Sound.
Wow.
And I am Sammi G. Well, Samantha Garong is my government name, but Sammi G is my DJ name because I DJ'd and I learned from the Be Junkie Institute of Sound. I'm also a student just like Issa. And I'm also a co-founder of the Ladies of Sound organization. We are the official women's division of the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. So that's how we know, how we're known here in our community.
Yes. I actually wanted to go back. Everybody or every entrepreneur is inspired by something maybe in their childhood, where they're from, where they grew up. So give us some background, like where'd you guys grow up? Where are you from? And how made that, or how did that journey inspire you to kind of see this gap and want to fill that gap? We'll get to what you guys do later, but.
You want to go first?
Yeah, so I was born in Los Angeles, right on like Melrose and Ardmore.
Okay.
And in the Koreatown.
Delicious.
I was brought up in Santa Clarita, so that's where I went to high school. And I did the music career path over there in high school. I actually started because I was rapping in high school.
Okay.
And then I had the opportunity to go into recording studios around that time, and I was doing a lot of shows too, actually. So because I was in that environment and I got to see the back end of how audio engineering works, I went to school at the Art Institute and I majored in audio production and music engineering. So that's kind of my background and how I started to get into all this technical stuff. I learned all that in school, and then I realized I wanted to do concerts. I like to live sound, and I was throwing concerts in college.
Nice.
And so I ended up producing events right out of college, and that's when I met a ton of DJs. One in particular is your boy Thurston, and I met him on my 23rd birthday party, and he was like, hey, my dad's a beat junkie, and he opened up a school. If you want to learn how to DJ, you should check it out. And so I did, and I've been at the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound ever since. So that was like 2017. Mm-hmm.
Wait, can we ask questions? This
Yeah.
is so fascinating. Do you come from a musical family?
No. Well, actually, that's not true. It's not true at all, actually. Well, because in terms of anyone really pursuing it, not necessarily. Yeah. But my dad in the Philippines actually was part of a band in the 70s, like a disco band.
What's the name?
The Rainmakers. So you could actually YouTube Rainmakers on.
That's gonna happen for
you could
sure.
YouTube Rainmakers and you'll hear their band from like
ever
the
play them?
70s. No, but I'm thinking about sampling them one day and making like a beat out of it.
Totally should.
But and then both my parents ended up being in the music ministry at the church. So this has all kind of dawned on me recently that's probably where my whole love for music really truly started, was because every weekend we were at the church. My uncle was the music director, my dad was in the choir, my mom was in the choir, and so all of my aunties and stuff, we were all part of the music ministry.
It's in your blood.
Yeah.
I guess so.
That's why I like this question, because sometimes you don't think about those things
Until someone asks.
What led you to this path.
Mm-hmm.
And really it does go deep, or far back, even into childhood a lot.
Yeah, that was definitely just more recently have I realized that like that's pretty much where it all started.
So are you going to give us some bars?
No, I've kind of did that part of me.
Retired.
I don't know.
She's
I'm
retired, guys.
retired.
She's
Maybe
retired.
in the future. I don't know.
I always use the name Sammy G.
No, I used to want to always just be known as Sam Garong because I was like, oh, my mom gave me this name. I'm going to let people know this name. But I realized it is nice to kind of have the different, side of you in the performance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So
Have a
Sammy G is more recent. I actually used to think that was a little cringy. People used to tell me that before I
Because
took
of
that
Jersey
name
Shore
on.
or
Just in general, because when people would be like, "Oh, you rapping? And what up, Sammy G?" and I used to think it was like a little cringy, but I've owned it now. So yeah, that's pretty much how everything started for me, at least.
And Maricel, what about you? What about the principal?
Yeah.
Oh, so I was born in Los Angeles, and I grew up in Diamond Bar.
Oh, cool.
I actually went to Diamond Bar High School, and the reason why I feel like music is such a big part of my life. Well, one, like every Filipino dad, my dad's like huge Beatles fan. So I grew up just listening to the Beatles, Bread, like all of these like soft, like yacht rock type of bands. And my family actually really loves to sing. So karaoke was a huge thing in my house.
Yes.
And my parents used to love waking my brother and I up in the morning on the weekends by my dad turning up the karaoke machine, because my room was like right above the TV area, and just sing. And I was like, oh my God, it's time for me to wake up. But that was obviously a huge part of like the musical influence. And they used to try to make me sing, and I was like, no, I don't want to sing. But I always loved music. There's something really cool that I really loved about the relationship with my dad is whenever I wanted to go buy like a CD single, like before I'd have to buy my own music, so I would like save my money and like go to like Sam Goody or Warehouse. There used to be one in Diamond Bar or Tower Records, and yeah, he would go buy his music, and then I would go to the 99-cent section and buy all these like cassette singles, CD singles when they came out. And I had like a radio in my room, and it would always have the pause and the record ready to like listen to the radio, and I'd hear something, I'd like jump across the room and then unpress the record button. I'm dating myself, but
Hey, we're there.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah. So I
cassette
mean,
tape.
like when we just make mixtapes for ourselves and then pass them to our friends and that type of thing. But that's a really great memory that I have, because it wasn't something that I would have to like beg to do. It was like, can we go to Warehouse? Like, yeah, let's go. And he would like, kick me a little bit of cash, and I would always have like my little collection of music for myself. My parents were actually, so I'm first generation. My mom is really strict, not my dad. And, she wouldn't really let me go out. So I would be home. And so when I would be at home, my escape would be me listening to music on repeat and just being in my room. And that's how I would kind of just like, use my time back then. I used to write down lyrics just so I would know the song. And so it was like that thing. I remember when you remember when Bone Thugs and Harmony came out, and then I remember, that's how old I am. This like paper came out at school. We're like, oh, I have the lyrics, and everybody used to pass it around. So yeah, that was like a big part of it. In terms of like my entrepreneur journey, the big influence on that, and my mom will probably kill me. I don't know why she's like scared to tell everybody, but my mom used to, when bootlegging was, my mom bootleg shit. So,
Who didn't?
Yeah, I mean, but it was like
mad money right now.
in my garage. Like we had some like a whole like printer press with T-shirts, the dryer, and I used to remember like going in there and like, what's going on? And my mom would be like, okay, you're gonna fold these and put them in according to size, and then look at the invoices. I used to hate it, but now that I'm older, that I have perspective, I've realized how much of an impact it made on me, because I saw my mom work for herself.
Hustle.
And not only did she sell like bootleg stuff, like she'd see like, okay, let's go to the outlets, and then, or like the, department stores, and see which designs were, selling, take that, bootleg that. My mom would even find an embroiderer like in downtown. I used to go with her to Santee, and she'd find like the cheapest like person who could give her the best quality, and I'd hear her bargain with people, find people who even like she'd make me I used to cut the back of the, like if it's a AAA or something, and she found someone that would like create a fake like tag and like sew it on. And I remember I used to have to sort everything, and I used to go with her to LA, and she would like pack like our van to the brim, and she would go and play mahjong, and people call it mahjong, but they say mahjong. And then she would like literally set up shop at like one of my aunt's houses and put all of her merchandise out there, and they would all just buy stuff in bulk. And that's what I loved about my mom, because she's not like, I'm not all about the business, I'm about the play, let me enjoy. So that's why it's like funny I have these memories, because my mom, you know, she's like, oh, it's so shameful, you know, and I'm like, no, it's not, that was cool, because now bootlegging is like normal.
People pay for that that's like a master class.
I mean, the brand I'm wearing right now they're known for like all their bootlegging, right? Chinatown Market and other market, right? So I always tell my mom, like, you shouldn't be ashamed of that. Like, it had an impact on me, because I saw you hustle. And she sold jewelry. She sold, like, if she found something that she could get a good deal on, she would buy it in bulk and then just, like, sell it to her friends at these, like, you know, she knew someone was always playing mahjong. And then they would be inviting hella people. And then she would literally, like, do a little pop-up, you know, little Selly's clothing collection. So, yeah, that was a nice little, it was a nice little memory.
Everybody has that skill.
Yeah. No, and my mom would not, like, I would watch her like bargain with people at like Santee, and sometimes I would get scared. I'm like, dang mom. Like, she's like, no, I want, this is the price I want. If you don't give it to me, then I'm gonna go down the street and give them my business, because I'm not buying just a little bit, I'm buying a lot. And so just seeing her be like that strong woman that would not take no for an answer, on top of like, you know, in our garage, just like, we literally didn't use our garage for my entire childhood because it'd be full of like product and stuff like that. So again, I didn't realize until I got older how much of an impact that made on me, and my hustle and my work ethic. So thanks, Mom.
We talk about it a lot, how your parents model, because we're moms, right? So that's always at top of mind for us. What we do is very impactful for our children.
Yeah.
You never know when they're watching and what they're gonna pick up and what's gonna, you know, influence them. So it's like it's crazy. You like have to kind of mind that, right, as moms, and just be like, are they watching me, or are they gonna pick that up later? I don't know. But you know, at least watching. Yeah, for me, like that was something that I felt like made my journey a little easier, I guess you can say, because she kept going.
So I do need to sneak off to get back to my day job, hashtag
Yes.
working mompreneur. But before I go, I did want to ask you a question. When you started this business, this amazing kind of creation, what were your parents' reactions?
You know, I don't know if how everybody's Asian parents are, but my parents were like, okay.
Sure.
You know, it was kind of like they weren't like it's not that they weren't impressed, like they just were just like, okay,
Just
that's
so
good
so
for
foreign.
you. You know, it was just, and I'm like, oh, that's it. Like, you know, they're like, good job, anak, and like that would be it. But then they would always get down to the, like, you know how Asian parents can be, where it's like, well, how are you making a lot of money? I'm like, no, I'm starting up a business. I'm kind of the investor technically, and they're like, oh, okay. But you know, if there's one thing that I can be very proud of, is that I've been on my own since 18 and I've never had my hand out. And so that's when they say something to me, I'm like, you guys act like you guys have given me financial help. I've never taken it from you. You know, and then they go, yeah, that's right. Good for you. So yeah, if anything, that's, you know, they're proud. I know they're proud of me now. They have expressed that, because I'm like, why are you posting stuff on Facebook that I sent you in our text? Like, that's for us, but it, you know, it's cute. They have their own subtle ways. But I know that I'm still trying to achieve like that, you know, yes, I'm kind of nurse proud of you type of thing. Even though I know, you know, it's not the journey that they thought I was going to go on. That's still what I'm trying to like get that kind of approval,
Yeah.
right? So
But they say that the journey is the success, right? Or now we're trying to change our mindsets because we're going to date ourselves too. Because we're all taught, success is like doctor, lawyer. We do have a lawyer on set.
Ooh.
Hey.
Good to know.
There's so much more to her. There's so much more to her. You know what I mean? And there's so much more to you guys. And I totally get that. Like, oh, cool, you're doing that. Like even like DJing. Just simply DJing.
Is it gonna make money?
Right?
Right.
That's what my parents asked me too, and I'm like, I mean, it's gonna bring value.
To my life.
So yes.
yeah.
We didn't quite get to how Ladies of Sound started, how you guys thought of it, and then what you saw yourselves doing in, 1 year, 5 years, and how do you guys feel about where you are now? And it seems like I kind of know the background, so I don't want to tell everybody for you, but you pivoted, you have this new headquarters space, which we are in, guys. It's amazing. You can also see them. They're actually producing while we're interviewing them, so they're multi-talented and multitasking. But yeah, how did you guys think to start Ladies of Sound?
Ladies of Sound was started because when the school initially opened, to start off, I was the one woman on the team. The plan was not for me to be a part of that vision. I got brought in as a photographer to shoot photos of the school, which then kind of dominoed into
Asking
building
questions.
it's like I built their website because I had experience doing that on Squarespace with being, I did that myself. So they're like, can you do that? Started to ask more questions, and I just didn't get certain answers, so I just went ahead and just figured it out, and it got to a point where I just ended up becoming an integral part of the
Business.
the infrastructure and the business, because I had built the back end, and then when the doors had opened, one of the first students I had signed up was a woman. Shout out to Sarah Vinyl. And I kind of just saw from our first day, I was like, you know what, there's actually a lot of women that are here to learn. And now that we've got our numbers right, I believe in the first year we had a 38% sign up of women for the first year. Sam happened to be one of those women. We were actually in the same class when we first started.
Yeah, when you took classes, I was in that class too, and it was funny because I just had no idea like what you were about and who you were, and I think the same goes for both of us. But yeah, it was definitely times where it was just me and her in the classroom, and yeah.
And then from it being, a few of us in the school, I started to also notice that there was a difference in the way that people would approach us at the school. The women were so like egos were left at the door, and they were like so eager to learn. That kind of inspired me to, how could I make this a less intimidating thing to join? So I started Sip and Scratch, and Sip and Scratch was involved wine. And I said, you know what, because I like to drink wine, my friends like to drink wine, it's a way for us to kind of let loose. I happened to know someone who was a sommelier, and I tapped her on the shoulder and said, you know what, hey, would you mind coming to the school and kind of doing a little bit of a tutorial on like what wines go with what, and then we go into teaching the girls how to scratch, because that's what intimidates a lot of women. They're like, oh my gosh, turntablism, you see so little representation in that industry, or that
the DJ
art
world,
form, in the art form in general, right? You don't think of a woman as someone that's going to beat juggle or scratch, right? There's so little of them, and that was my way of saying, let's go ahead and introduce them to this in a less intimidating setting where it's all women in the room. And I brought in DJ Shorty, and she previously teaches, so I thought, you know what, let's have her as our instructor, and kind of made it this woman-centric workshop. So I did a few of those, and in that we did see an increase in enrollment. But by the end of that year, I did get approached to curate a couple of events for the school. In that, I realized how much I like throwing events, how comfortable I was throwing events, and how much I wanted to create more events for women, because being in this industry, you know, in different aspects, as a photographer, as a partner of a DJ, as a fan or someone like that's attending an event, I just didn't see enough of us. If there were women in the crowd, it would be in the crowd, but not in a part of the back end, right? And especially as a photographer, that's where I realized, like, dude, there's literally one woman on the stage, may or may not be the DJ. They're always the opener. They're never the closer. And I just wanted to create something where it was like for us to enjoy, without like me having to walk into a crowd and like worry about like my ass getting grabbed or being hit on, or me dressing a certain way and being me being questioned. I just wanted it to be like, let's all be comfortable. Like, let's be together. And so by that time, Sammi had joined our team, and I was like, are you down to throw events? Because I had this opportunity to throw an event with Jack Daniels at the time. So I was like, okay, we'll do one event for the school, and then we're gonna do one for the girls. And I just went all out. I was like, let's pull all of our cards and get the best of the best in different parts of the industry, have them on a panel and introduce them to the community, so that they were able to see that DJing wasn't just, I just DJ clubs, or I do this and I do that. Everybody was all different. We had like Javen on there, and she's a Red Bull 3-style finalist. She's out in Arizona. We had Right Toast, Shorty, who's in the drum and bass sector. We had Bella Fiasco. You know, she's big club DJ, and Mona Lisa. And Mona Lisa was someone that, you know, who I had a friendship with and had seen in the scene. It's like literally it was like me and her on the stage, you know. So and also too, as a DJ, she's someone that I highly respect, because if there's one thing about DJing that I loved, was that I could go to an event and not know a song and want to Shazam it and be like, what is that? Or like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about that song, or realize that that was an original to a sample and I put it together. So that's, I wanted to especially have that type of DJ because that, you know, type of DJ Mona is, in terms of her music knowledge, was something that what coincides with our mission at the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. So that was basically the inspiration of seeing Issa walk through the door, and then Nina walk through the door, and Kawhi joined the class, and just like Angie, just like all of these women just started coming to the school and signing up through Sip and Scratch, through the first Ladies of Sound event, and then seeing you know, the camaraderie build there, and then that's basically what kind of like pushed us forward to keep going with Ladies of Sound.
I just have to say that they've come to my graduations, both of them, so they totally see like the other women.
Wasn't that so fun? That specific graduation was
yeah. And then also I remember that event, and I think what's really key too is, you know, as TITT Talks, we try to talk about important issues to women, and we also hit, you know, like the gap in the industry for representation, but also misogyny in music. Like there were so many good topics that were covered, and so many good questions by DJs even in the crowd, female DJs in the crowd, and just to see everybody there, it was a full packed building. Like you just didn't know that you had that community, and I think that's what you guys do is, you're like, we're here. There is a community of women in music, and you know, just get together, know each other, network, and I think that's what was needed.
Yeah, we got a lot of feedback after that first event about how good these women felt after they left, and all the new friends that they made, and just how empowered they felt after that. That really jump-started everything. We got the LLC, we got the .com, we got we started to just really rock and be like, okay, we're gonna
let us know.
When we were just like, okay, we're gonna do this. Like, we're gonna do it for real, you know. So
how far along are you in the journey? Like, how many years in are you guys now?
So our first event was December of 2018. We actually did a day market after that, which was initially supposed to be a music market, but it transitioned to a day market because of just the time of day, and then just we just decided to change it last minute. We did another like talk, like a Q&A. We did one with DJ Charisma of Power 106. And then from there, there was Sam actually used to work with Ladies First. And also there was this event by the Be Rare Foundation where they highlighted, beauty and fashion, but they were holding a grant. And Sam was like, dude, we gotta do this, and I was like, okay. So that push from Sam to get, to apply to this grant was really one of the best things and decisions that we had made, because with that, it forced us to figure out our business plan.
Yeah, we had to do a business plan. We had to budget everything
for an entire year.
An entire year's budget with what we would do with the grant, and then a timeline. So those were the requirements for us to apply. And we were just like, okay, if we win this, that's dope. If we don't win this, that means we have a budget, a timeline, and and a business plan. So it was like gonna be a win-win either way, but it definitely pushed us to be like, okay, what are we really doing? Like, we like events. We both have backgrounds in events, and she has with her photography and also just cameras and video. She's always been the video person. I ended up being the audio person. So it worked out really well. And then, so once we said we were going to go for this grant, we ended up winning.
I remember Issa telling us this.
Yeah.
Because I also want to apply for this grant, but I think next year, because I know they just,
Yeah.
And I saw all your guys' amazing stories about how it helped you. But I think it's so important also to know about, those opportunities, which I don't think, it's not really common knowledge that there are opportunities for women who are looking to create a business or even make a change, to get funding, because everything needs money, to push forward.
Yeah, and it was it was a way for us to, we were like, okay, when people think of women ran businesses, a lot of the times it's like beauty or fashion. There was just nothing wrong with that, but we came out of the woodwork of music centric DJing, and I think that's really what made us stand out in front of everybody.
And I feel like after you guys won that grant, I really saw a focus, from my perspective on, forwarding Ladies of Sound, what you guys wanted to do with the brand and who you wanted to be. Kind of taking us into COVID happening, the pandemic happening. I think you guys really shined once we were all on lockdown. So tell us, how you pivoted and how you thought of community chats and
Thank you, because that was a rough one. But it was rough for everybody. Yeah, everybody was going through it.
Go ahead.
Well, so for the grant, it was supposed to be our 2020 plans. That was the whole thing, that our entire submission had to do with what we were planning on doing in 2020. So when everything happened, the crazy thing is that our plan involved events and traveling, which are literally the two things that shut down because of the pandemic. So we had to figure it out really fast. And that's when we started doing the community chats.
Yeah, so we were nobody knew. We were 2 weeks. And that turned into a whole year. We were naively what can we do to keep everything engaged, right? So when this does end, we can just pick up where we left off. So we wanted to keep a presence. So not only did we pivot, that's when live streaming came about, and the whole team in terms of the school, all the guys, we all had to learn how to live stream and quickly pivot,
hold classes
online and keep that presence. So we didn't stop working.
No,
we were literally doing this. I was doing this 24/7. I was making sure I got all the assets ready, making sure the back end was ready, making sure that everybody knew
how to live stream.
Getting everyone to get the right equipment to get online and testing. It really took a lot. And even through that, Sam and I were we still got to take care of our community. So we started to do community chats, which we loved doing because it gave us the opportunity to connect with other women in different parts of the world, or outside of Los Angeles, and
Which you couldn't do before.
Yeah, which you couldn't do before unless we were physically there, right?
Yeah.
Because that gave us this window to reach out to them, and them being more open to being on this Zoom type of chat. And this was like pre-Twitch. Twitch was still like gaining traction, but very slowly. And if we decided to do Zoom so that we could kind of just have it like a private little thing. And we were able to connect with Misbehavior from New York, Spinurita, Umami, who's in San Francisco, and other local DJs like Chronica,
Sasha Marie.
And then that also gave us this, also us being home, we were inspired to do like a wellness part of it, where now, we have the different facets of things. We have Raitos, who does yoga, and Juliet Mendoza, who actually has a lot of knowledge in regards to nutrition, and then her friend Marina, who was into mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to kind of just build that, and me and
It was
Sam
just
were
a lot of work. We're just really thankful that people like you,
Yeah,
Isa,
thank you for joining.
acknowledged it, because we were just so tired. We're like, I don't know how long we could do this for.
Yeah,
so we didn't know the pandemic was gonna last so long.
It's still lasting.
Right? It's still here.
Yeah, we didn't realize, like, we even came in with like, we would do a presentation and then kind of like time it to where, like, when we're talking, we would like throw up photos, and it's behind the scenes, me and her were like, oh my gosh, we're doing this every single week. And then we added the wellness, which ended up being twice a week. So we got to a certain point, like by summer, because we went from April until like the summertime, where we were going to open up in September at the school. We were like, okay, we're done. But we're glad we did that, because again, it opened up the doors to communicate with other people that necessarily weren't in Los Angeles, and that opened up our eyes to a lot of things. There's a girl out in Nashville who attended because she followed us on IG, and now this is someone we can say we know in Memphis, or Nashville, I'm sorry. And so we learned a lot from it, and we also learned what our capacity is and what we like and what we don't like. But it was fun.
Yeah, and I think before that, you guys weren't really producing shows, and it led you to do Dope by Association and Mommy's in the Mix.
Mommy's in the Mix, shout out.
I'm on too.
Well, before the pandemic, the school was doing Q&As almost every other week. It felt like, and that's when she was producing live streams. So the school was producing live streams for like a cool year and a half before the pandemic happened.
Forget about that.
So even though it was super hard to pivot, everyone kind of was used to it almost, or at least she was.
Yeah, I was really used to. I mean, I think it was funny because Sarah Vinyl would always say, "You look like you're flying a plane," because I would literally have my headphones on. It was a whole different system that I had to learn too, and it wasn't exactly the most reliable system. Like, I would have everything set up, and then right when we'd open the door, something would like fall off, and then I'd be like, to get it back online and everything. And then at that time I was doing it all by myself. And then Sam was getting her taste of like how to take care of the BTS of everything, the socials. So we kind of ended up developing this system of how we wanted to put that out. For
how we worked
to
together,
really.
really.
How we worked, yeah.
Yeah, I really love that part, because it brings us to what you're doing for us right now, is producing our show.
Which is amazing.
Thanks.
And it's something
Look
that
at
you
this.
guys offer. So if you have a podcast, if you want to live stream DJing,
Yeah, we have DJ
these
set up
ladies
here.
are your people. They have a green screen. We're on a green screen right now. Isn't it beautiful?
For people who don't know, I will say that, like, Issa, you know a little bit more than the Tiffany's do, but we came here and we're like, oh wow, this is amazing. just let us know if we can help you. It's probably better that we didn't help you. We probably would have broke something.
Yeah, we figured out, what each of our strengths are, and how now at this point we just are kind of on pilot mode.
We're on autopilot
Yeah.
at this point, but I'm glad we were able to merge our strengths together.
Yeah.
Can I say that you guys are an inspiration?
Aw, thank
You guys literally are right before
Stop,
our
I'm really
eyes
emotional
creating
easily.
a movement for women.
Thank
And
you.
that is so damn important for people like us who have daughters, you know. It is everything. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you guys for having us here. And to that point of you guys having daughters, being Asian American, you're only really told that you only have so many options. It was what I love. So back to my parents really quick. My dad actually came here at a lot younger of an age. So I feel like that's why he was a lot more open to the American way versus my mom. My mom's very traditional, even up to now. And my dad really made it a point for me to just always express myself. But he was like, you can be like your uncle, like an engineer, or your cousins that are nurses and make this much money. And I'm like, I don't know if they like their job though. Like they never seemed like, sorry, ates and kuyas and stuff. But I mean, I just didn't get that. Like, yes, I saw materially what they had, but I think the turning point for my dad and I's relationship is when I was like, would you rather have me make a lot of money and be miserable, or would you rather have me, live a decent life but be happy? And that was the first time he couldn't give me an argumentative point. And I think it like dawned on him, so he kind of just stopped from there, and I just kept pushing for my own life in my own way, which I wish. I had my mom as my example, but for us, because there's not enough representation, you only think that there's certain things that you can do. So with Ladies of Sound and seeing, all of the amazing women in the community, I know that when you're young and you see yourself, even if it's just being a woman or an Asian American woman, that we all know it has an impression on the younger generation, right? Because then they see it's possible. So that what was important for me, because I didn't want my little cousins or anybody that also was Asian American to be limited to these job options, right? You don't know that, there's Filipino fashion designers or Asian American fashion designers. They had to keep pushing and paving the way, or even in beauty or any other industry, but even for you being a lawyer, for your daughter to see that and be like, dang, my mom is a boss. Like she can like go in a courtroom and just be like, let me argue my points here. And you know what I mean? And that takes a lot. No, but honestly,
she has two sons, and I would have to say that they'll
daughters.
probably also,
they're aunties.
Yeah.
exactly, say that to any, friends that they have, or even future wives or whatnot, like, encourage that independence, because they see you.
Well,
They will.
For your sons to see a strong woman,
Exactly.
they're gonna
And-
want a
and-
strong
and
woman.
Yeah, I feel like I am that stereotypical Asian kid who was presented with the certain paths, like the very few options that you should become, and that would be acceptable for you to become. And I will say, like, I'm an attorney. I enjoy it. It fits my personality. It's like, hello. You think what? You're not right.
She's great at her job.
Let me tell you why you're not right. Like, it'll be very easy for me to tell you why you're not right. But like, I remember as a young girl wanting to play basketball, and I liked to sing, and I thought I was great at acting. I in seventh grade I took a drama class, and I made a lot of people laugh with my improvisation. So I think it would have been great to see women like you when I was younger. And I think that's a message that, like, now that we've started TITT Talks, and now we're in these great networking groups, we see there's so much more out there than just.
And hey, you're on this
lawyer or
podcast,
doctor.
which I'm sure, is your release for creatively too, and to be yourself outside of work.
Yes.
It is.
Exactly.
I get a lot out here.
She's also a great foodie.
Ooh.
Yes,
So am
yes,
I.
I am.
Yes, I love food too.
Yes, Maricel is too.
I do, and I'm unfortunately, but I love actually even taking, like, if I were to say my favorite subject to take photos of, it would be food because it doesn't talk back.
Okay.
And then you get to eat it after.
That's funny.
But yeah, I completely agree with you guys on that. And like, I think it's important too that even if you have a, job like being a lawyer, that you always have a creative outlet. And again, that's what this is for you. And I think that's important for children to see. I have 2 stepsons myself. So for them to see me do my thing, like I like when they come see me at work so that they know, oh, okay, Maricel's just not bossy at home. She you know what I mean? It's like,
She's
no,
a
you
real
need,
boss.
I'm like, no, you need to see, like, this is like, we have to work 10 times harder.
Yes.
Work ethic is a very important life skill.
Exactly. And then women off jump when you're born into this world, you already have a disadvantage because you are a woman, right? So my dad told me that from the beginning. He was like, you're a woman of color, you will have to work 2 times harder. Keep that in mind. So I knew that, and I feel like that also made an impression on me. So I thank him for kind of keeping it real. And then also that's a trait that I have as well, because Asian parents just tell you straight up, right? So they're just like, this is what it is.
Cheers to your dad.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a great dad,
He
from
is.
what I'm hearing.
Let me play ball too. I did play ball. I was too short though, so.
I played basketball in 6th grade. I scored 3. I was a point guard, and I scored 3 baskets in 1 game.
Ooh.
Oh, sick.
Career high.
I am not mad at it.
And after that, I was told I had to play tennis. That's another episode.
Are there any other highlights we didn't touch? I mean, you talked about, the grant from the Be Rare Foundation and, the amazing event you guys first threw. Any highlights that, or proud moments that you want to share?
Well, the space. On top of that, I mean, I know we touched on it earlier, but while we were still quarantining and things, and we had already had this background, and we've thought about getting a space for a while now. We would say like, oh, should we just look? So we'd look online here and there, and then one day we're just like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just
we used to actually work in so I love coffee, and so I wasn't mad at working at coffee shops because I would be like, okay, there's a new one, I want to go try how that coffee shop is. And then obviously with the pandemic, it's like that disappeared. You couldn't go inside the coffee shop. And Sam was like, can we get a space? Because
we live so far apart from each other.
Yeah, we live far,
and the school can get really distracting. It's just really loud also. So we were like, we can get so much done if we were able to meet up, like not in a coffee shop. And so luckily, her friends at Container Yard was able to they let us know that they had an extra space available. So it kind of just worked out. We knew what we wanted to do in here, and we also wanted to use this as a resource for the women in our community. So like Isa with her show, and we have a ton of other plans here, but this is like our way of just kind of going through any kinks and understanding, like, what can we do in here? We could produce shows, you could do events, which we have done so far. So I think this is like our way of also the fact that our 2020 plans from the grant didn't necessarily work out the way that we were picturing it. This is like kind of making up for it, and it's just a way that we never really thought at first, but it definitely makes a lot of sense of what we wanted to pursue for Ladies of Sound. So
this was our big pivot from not being able, because that event that you had went to, Isa, we planned on doing that and taking that to other cities. That was initially what our goal was, right? To gather women in the other DJs, because initially, and in a lot of different industries, we're pitted against each other, right? Because it's like there's only room for one of you guys on stage, and I'm like, fuck that. No, we're gonna make more room for us because y'all don't want to give it, so let's just give it to everybody, right? So when that wasn't something that we saw because of the pandemic, that's when, what would our pivot be? And then the idea of just having a space and then using our strengths to continue to harbor all of these amazing women in one place, and also help them in ways that, you know, they wouldn't be able, like, you know, like this. Like, I can see this is a lot. Like, sometimes when she does the audio, I'm like, oh my God, that gives me a headache. And then, you know, the camera stuff. So that was the beauty in us being able to do that. But then we could also help other women in our community do the same, because this stuff is not cheap. And also, it's a lot to maintain in terms of like one person running a stream. It is a lot. You have to really multitask. And
there's a learning curve. There's just a lot to learn.
Exactly. And also, too, it's COVID. So you always want everybody in your space. So it was like, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense for us to like keep that separate so everybody can have access to wanting to stream, doing a podcast. And the difference in what we offered, what other places have, is that we're actually the ones running the production, and we offer also consulting services in terms of like marketing and branding and social media, which is also another you know, aspect that we're offering, versus like you rent a space and you have to figure all of that out, right?
Yeah.
And Issa knows, because we've worked with her on Mommy's in the Mix, you know, in terms of like getting your run of show together, and like when she sent these questions, I was like, perfect. I'm like, you know, having all of that outlined, like, and going over that with other people, bouncing ideas, and then, you know, but you guys do a great job of it, and I'm sure the four of you together just putting your minds together, and I see it in your guys' your branding, and you know, on your Instagram, all how you present your socials. So being able to bring all of that energy together, and you guys putting that out, I mean, it's just really amazing. And that's kind of what we wanted to keep doing, right? Having a space where we all can like come together and like help each other grow.
It's fun working with women too, just in general.
It is.
We get shit done.
Yeah, get shit done. There's so many details that
Yes.
might have been overlooked had it
Right.
not been a woman looking at it. So, and I think just having the space and showing people that this is all possible with women, like, you know, because we don't see many of us just even producing shows and things like that. So I think that's also really important in what we're doing here.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, to all of that. I was just feeling it so much that I kind of forgot my train of thought. But what I wanted to ask is, you know, what would you tell your younger self, you know, about where you are at now? Obviously, I would be so proud, but, you know, is there anything along the journey you would have changed, or even just to like cheerlead your, you know, little 5-year-old self, like, you're going to be here? And
I don't know. Well, for me, so when I read that question, I was really trying to think. And for me, I don't know, I think this is just me personally. I still feel really new to all of this, even though I have been doing like audio and music for almost 10 years now, but I just started young. But I still feel like I want to hear my advice from like, you know, 5 years from now, to what they need, what myself needs to tell myself right now, because I need that advice now. But I would just say, in terms of just anybody else, maybe younger, who is looking to get into being an entrepreneur, and especially in the media space, is to just do your best to get over feeling intimidated. I think that was one of my biggest things so far in this journey. When I went to school for audio, I was the only girl. I was like one of 2 girls that graduated in my class. And it used to really scare me. Like, classes were just full of dudes. And I, you know, when I took my internship in recording studios, like, I was the only girl there at like 4 a.m. And sometimes it's just to just go through it, because there's been a lot of nights where I cried in my car, like, you know, because the industry is really scary, and there's men and there's predators, and there's just, you know, and it's just like, you just have to keep going. And that would probably be my biggest thing. And also just making sure you're safe, because there's a lot of, you know, layers to this, especially in the entertainment and the music industry. So I would say to just be careful, but just to keep going. So
I think that's great advice. We talk a lot about imposter syndrome, which we still
for sure.
feel at our age, at our levels, in our jobs.
Even though we look at each other and we're like, why would you feel imposter syndrome? Like, you're the best.
yeah.
But yeah,
Right?
I
Such a
even
different
felt so
mindset.
intimidated walking into the open house you guys threw at Beat Junkies Institute of Sound. I was like, you know, maybe I don't belong here. And I had already been DJing, but I wanted to make sure that I was you know, knew the
Solid.
craft and was doing it right. And like, you couldn't poke holes through my, you know, my performance. Cause I would, you know, be in downtown DJing at clubs and they've seen me, but I think you guys have probably seen my growth too. Cause I'd always be on a controller, which I was super intimidated. Like, oh, here's me hugging up my controller. Nothing wrong with it, but you know, there's just something like to know turntables and to know the foundation so important. But that's a whole nother episode or topic that you can actually go to Ladies of Sound and listen to community chats about. But imposter syndrome is so real, intimidation, and yeah, the confidence is really, you can do it. Other people are doing it, or you can break that with the glass ceiling.
Yeah.
Just to keep going.
It's funny, when I saw what I would tell my younger self, I actually started writing it. That was like the only answer I actually ended up putting on here. But what I would tell my younger self is to find like-minded people. Find the people that you have in common with. I didn't understand that growing up. You know, I feel like I did it inadvertently. Like, I'd hang out with my basketball teammates, or I'd find people that liked food like me, and they go, oh, let's go eat this and that kind of stuff. But I feel like I didn't do it enough in the way that I understand how important it is now. So I would say, like, the things that fuel your soul, which is like music, you know, photography, art, keep being around those types of people to stay inspired. You know, I would also say, you know, to myself to just accept who you are and find the things that you feel like you can improve on, and just keep working at it, and it'll be okay. You know, and then also to stay healthy. That's what I would tell myself, because I used to eat pizza like every single day when my metabolism was the bomb, and I just didn't know. And then I like got 35 and I was like, no, so, but yeah, that's what I would tell my younger self. Find like-minded people. I actually, I partied a lot in my 20s, so I had a lot of fun, but then I feel like if I had known what I know now, I could have probably educated myself more and started absorbing more things that I loved in a sooner part of my timeline.
Yes.
So that's what I would say. Like, you know, you like photography, start reading them books, start going to the exhibits, start finding other photographers, so you're not alone, because I was alone when I started. I was the only woman. I was really shy, and I wasn't comfortable talking to the men in the industry. And if I had found that camaraderie sooner, I think that would have helped me. But I also understand that was my journey. But younger Maricel, you know, she could have found the right people instead of just partying too much, you know, at the clubs. So.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for, you know, being a part of this show. I'm so happy that we're highlighting Ladies of Sound, such a big, important community for me. There's actually more women here in the room too, and I just want to say that there's actually a big, you know, there's a good, strong network behind Ladies of Sound that really help everything move along too.
And you're part of it, Issa, so thank you. Thank
well,
you
so
for all
are you
your
guys.
help.
I mean, Ladies of Sound isn't, I mean, you know, maybe that signified the girls at the school, but you know, you guys know it. I'm not a DJ. I'm not trying to be a DJ. I actually love the business aspect of things. That's where I thrive. But because I am a lover of music, and if you're, you know, my significant other is a DJ, my son is a musician and producer, all my friends are DJs, you know, you can be your brother, your cousin, your sister, whoever, and you love music, and you know, if that's your love language, then that makes you a lady of sound. So I love that we have people on our team, like Kay over here. She's a daughter of Dynamics. She's our intern.
She also took Serato Studio at our school, so she knows how to produce.
How old are you, Kay?
She be making beats.
She's 16.
She be making beats. She's our intern too.
And her mom is also a lady of sound. So it is everybody. As long as music is your love language, you are a lady of sound.
Yes.
Love that.
Music is all of our love languages too.
It
So
is.
You guys are Ladies of Sound.
Yeah, you are.
And I just want to say, if you see any of the social assets coming out right now, we did Shoot Your Shot with Ladies of Sound. So we also have our pictures.
It's true.
You
You
guys
from
look
that
so
You did
cute.
it
Oh my
here.
gosh, I was like, these belong on a magazine. Like, I'm sorry, I was nosy. I
So
was like, let me look at their
cute.
pictures.
Oh, I totally looked
I
at
was
them.
like, oh, I hope they picked this one.
I do have one last question. So you did say how many women were joining, like at the initial year of the Junkie Institute of Sound. What does the makeup look like right now?
Well, we just started a new class on Wednesday. They're going to take about a year. They're in our year program foundation, and we have 12 spots, and there are 7 women and 4 men in that class.
It's
go.
our first foundation class where
Yeah, so we are
with the most
majority.
women in it.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go.
we went from 38% in the first year. We had a 2% jump in the following year. In 2019, I forget that number, but we had, I think, a 10% jump from there. And right now, as of 2020, we're at 56%. So, and shout out to DJ Puffs who helped us get those data points because that was really a struggle. So she helped us get, our spreadsheet right, and we were able to like accumulate those numbers, which was very telling for us to see that there is a Ladies of Sound effect going on at the school. So we're really
Watch
proud of
This
out.
is the most women we've ever had. So
that. Yes.
Wow.
we're very proud.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
just proof. Like the proof is in the pudding. You know that what you guys started is really, furthering representation.
Legit.
Exactly.
It's here to stay.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank
this has
you.
been amazing. How she built this episode.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys.
Yes.
No,
Thank you guys for coming
Can
through.
you guys
and
tell us
supporting
how to get a hold of you or where to go?
But I wanted to actually thank you guys before we get to that point. I actually love that you guys have been friends for such a long time and decided to do something like this together because, it's hard to find like these certain things that you guys end up being passionate about and that you can share, but to do it on a platform like this and start a podcast, right? And then also do it from the perspective of being a mother and being Asian American and talking about those experiences, giving us a platform to tell us our story, it really, really makes such a difference. And I'm so excited to share this episode. So thank you guys.
Yeah,
and
thank
I can tell
all the best for you
strong
guys.
women recognize strong women. I love it. And, I love the energy that you guys had when like you guys came to the photo shoot. And I was like, look at the cute ass outfits. I was like, oh my gosh, can me and my friends get dressed like that too? Take pictures.
Yeah, you guys should frame that. Put that up on your wall.
It's really inspiring because again, women are always pitted against each other. So when you see like such a strong camaraderie, that is something to be very proud of. And for you guys to do it to where let's do this podcast and maybe you guys have like, oh, now we're kind of like disagreeing because we want to do X, Y, and Z, but then work through it and like put together something that's so important for your message. Like, thank you guys so much.
Aww.
Oh, we're great too. They're great.
I know you guys are great.
I love all of you guys. So I'm just like,
I want to like
ready
interview you guys. I want to get to know you guys more.
Seriously.
So we're gonna have you back when we get all of our ducks in a row because we have plans for Ladies of Sound.
You guys are
so.
leading me to think we also should probably do a How She Built This episode on us because you're right. Learning, like none of us are marketing in marketing.
Or
deals
media,
in
right?
retail.
Yeah.
I'm in real estate, so that is so time consuming.
Yeah.
Social assets.
And you guys make the assets
Woo.
too.
It's a lot, and to do it on
We
your
just have some
own.
words.
Yeah.
While you're all mothers and everything at the
I
same
know.
time.
Yeah, girl. Kudos to you
It's
guys.
nice that like at least all the platforms we have published to, we have something to look back on and be like, look at all this shit we did.
Right.
Look at all this stuff we did. Like, we planned all this and made it happen.
We
because
just
that's,
wanted
like,
to
that's-
talk,
that's
and it ended up being so much
We just
more.
wanted
For
to spend more
sure.
time with each other.
Really.
And now we're doing it on the
But
platform.
so that means so much coming from you guys. Too.
No, honestly, it's when you told us that you were doing that, we're like, oh my god, how dope! Like it's really awesome to see, and I'm excited to see
More.
future episodes and more for you guys. And
We're
we are
always on your corner. So
we are here to support whatever you guys
We
are
feel
doing. Yeah, we got you guys.
It's like Disneyland, but it's like the same happy.
yeah. Happy place.
Adult Disneyland.
Yes.
Well, shout out to everybody listening, to all the listeners of TITT Talks and to the community of Ladies of Sound. We hope you really enjoyed this. I think it's something that I feel like a lot of people in Beat Junkie Institute of Sound wanted to know. And Ladies of Sound, the community too, you know, like where you guys came from and how you built this. I feel like I've learned so much more, and I feel like I talk to you guys a lot, and I still learn so much more. So thank you for the time. This has been a special How She Built This episode. Thank you for sitting with all of us, because usually it's just a one-on-one. But I really loved spending this time with all of you guys. So thank you.
Thank you for having
we'll
us.
put our
Thank you guys so
information
much.
up, but you guys tell us, because this is about you. You know, where can we find Ladies of Sound?
LadiesOfSound.com. And of course, I said we are the women's division of the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. So that's beatjunkiesound.com. You can find us at Instagram at ladiesofsound.la and at beatjunkieios. Then Maricel, if you want to plug in your personal.
So my personal is at M Sison, which is my first initial and my last name, because I don't have a nickname. So I said, whatever, I'm just gonna make this. But you can just see what I do there. I just post random stuff about like my personal life and the wonderful people in my life that I know that inspire me. So you'll see tidbits of, some milestones at the school, my incredible friend group, and just the amazing people in the community that I happen to be privileged of knowing and that inspire me. So that's kind of what I post, and Sammi, you can find her
at Sammi with an I.G_. So that's where all my DJ stuff is. If you ever want to go to a party.
And Sammi has the best captions, by the way. They always make me laugh. I'm like, dude, my captions are so serious and boring.
Sammi also produces music.
She does.
I'm making beats sometimes.
And
under Midi Ripperton, MIDI Ripperton.
Yes.
So thanks.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we
that's how you
also,
guys can find us.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to also plug that you'll see we actually have on Spotify, you can find Ladies of Sound. We have some curated playlists. We plan on putting out more. We actually have some exciting announcements coming soon, very, very soon. A lot of different collaborations that we're working on, and also just growing the space and the whole vision of Ladies of Sound. And I hope you guys can
for the
come
rest
along.
of the year.
Yeah, and events for the rest of the year. So
and find them on Twitch.
Oh,
yes, and on Twitch.
Ladies of Sound.
Twitch.tv, Ladies of Sound.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ladies of Sound. I had to.
Yay. Thank